Hello everyone, VVVRuff here for Hotkit, bringing you beginner Terran Bio Micro Terran versus Protoss. So I'm going to be showing you some situations in where small handfuls of Terran units are fighting against small handfuls of Protoss units, and how to micro and get a general idea of how to micro against Protoss armies with Terran. So I'm going to be showing you a situation here where I'm going to have 3 Marines fight against a Zealot. And this Zealot is actually going to do economic damage to the Terran army when you see these 3 Marines fight against the Zealot. So what's going to happen here is that the Zealot is going to come in and it's going to kill off 2 Marines. And then it's going to damage the 3rd Marine. And in this situation, the Protoss army traded 100 minerals for 100 minerals and damaged one of your units. So the economic advantage went to the Protoss in this situation. I'm going to show you once again what happens when just 2 Marines fight against a Zealot. So as you can see here, economically the Protoss will win in these kind of situations. Now I'm going to show you a basic kind of scenario of microing against any kind of melee unit, whether it's Zerglings or Zealots, where you can do a fade attack and let one of your ranged units attack the melee unit while the other one runs around. So this is a basic kind of micro strategy that you might see in the beginning of a game if you got Zealot rushed or something like that. So you can actually use this kind of situation to your advantage. Now I'm going to show you another situation where the opponent is actually going to control their Zealot to try to take out your Marines, where you actually got the micro back and forth with both Marines in order to try not to take economic damage. So this is one of those situations where you're actually going to use micro in a game while trying to keep your economy up. So as you can see, you're just kind of fading back your Marines and pulling them back when the Zealot tries to get close to one of the other Marines and letting the other one shoot. So this is just one of those basic situations where you're doing standard micro. Now I'm going to show you a situation now where you're going to fight against 3 Zealots with 3 Marines in combat shields. As you can see, the Zealots are going to win in this situation because you're doing absolutely no micro. So keep in mind that micro is very important for a Terran player. Now I'm going to show you the exact scenario, except I'm going to show you how to stutter step now. So in order to do stutter stepping, you're going to basically A move and then right click. And what you're doing is you're A moving and right clicking. Right clicking will move your units back manually, and then the A move will actually set your units up to attack. So what you're doing is you're right clicking, A moving, right clicking, A moving, back and forth again. Now I'm going to show you a situation where you might want to open up with a Reaper against a Protoss player, and when you do, you're going to fight against a Zealot. Keep in mind that Reapers are units that normally do a lot of micro, so you definitely don't just want to stand there and take the damage. As you can see, the Reaper is just going to lose against almost any unit one-on-one without any kind of micro. But in this situation, you can actually see that the Reaper is going to fight against 3 Zealots. And what I'm doing is I'm moving with the right mouse key, or right mouse button, and then I'm hitting A to attack move, right? Which allows the Reaper to attack again. So what you're doing is, if the Zealots get too close, you just right click, move, run away a little bit, and then you're going to A move to go ahead and try to attack. So you're right clicking and A moving over and over again in order to do this kind of micro. Now, this kind of micro actually works with any kind of ranged unit. It also works with melee units when you're trying to get good surrounds and not let ranged units run away. So keep that in mind. Also, I'm going to show you a situation where a Marauder, which is 100 minerals and 25 gas, against a Zealot, which is just 100 minerals, loses one-on-one with absolutely no micro. So as you can see here, the Protoss won in that kind of situation, but look what happens when you actually use the Concussive Shell ability and actually micro your Marauder back. So you can see the Marauder is constantly running around, and you're just right clicking and A moving again. So this is one of those situations where, like I said, any kind of ranged unit you can do stutter stepping, and this is what stutter stepping is. And you saw that the Marauder took absolutely no damage in that situation. Now, this is one of those situations where you're going to fight against a speed lot. Normally, you won't see speed lots early in the game, but this is just what happens when, you know, you see that Zealots will actually win one-on-one. Now, in this situation, a Marauder will win one-on-one against a Stalker. So I just wanted to show that to you to give you a general idea of what Marauders are good against, what Marines are good against when using Terran Bio units. Now I'm going to show you a situation where a Marine and a Marauder Stimpak are going to fight against a Stalker and a Zealot. 99% of the time, a Stalker and a Zealot should win, but if you're microing correctly, you can actually micro around, focus down the Stalker, and then actually just focus down the Zealot with Concussive Shell, as you can see right there. So that's just a scenario where you want to micro, you want to kill the Stalker off first by moving and then right-clicking on the actual unit and then taking it out. This is going to be one of those situations where you're going to have two Zealots and two Stalkers versus a Sentry. And I'm going to show you what happens when the Sentry uses Guardian Shield and you just stand there and not micro at all. So when you're not microing at all, of course you're going to lose with your Terran army just about against any kind of race, because micro is extremely important with any kind of Terran army, especially with small handfuls of units. So now I'm going to show you what happens when you actually micro against this. And when you actually micro, you want to focus down the Sentry first, get rid of the Guardian Shield, micro back, stutter step, kill the Zealots off, as you can see here, and then focus down the Stalkers. So it gives you a general idea of, do you want to attack the Stalkers first? Do you want to attack the Zealot first, or the Sentry first? So it's just the kind of situation that you some players are going to be in, where they're going to have to decide on that. Here I'm going to show you what happens when an Archon fights against 4 Marines and 1 Ghost, when you're absolutely doing nothing. So Archons do splash damage, and they do a lot of damage when they do. So as you can see here, with absolutely no micro, the Protoss army won with very little economic damage done to it, or no economic damage, because the Protoss can always get their shields back. Now this is going to be a situation where you're actually going to micro. I actually missed an EMP there, but it doesn't matter because you can actually split your Marines off. Now this is actually called splitting when you're fighting, where you actually split your units off and fight. So this is just a general idea I wanted to give you all on how to actually micro with small handfuls of Terran units.